Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz pianist Michael Wolff and drummer Mike Clark. Wolff and Clark anchor an all-star groove-heavy jazz funk band that includes bassist James Genus, saxophonist Alex Foster, Lenny Pickett, and Steve Wilson, and a rotating cast of guest stars. Michael Wolff was a member of the bands of Cannonball Adderley, Sonny Rollins, and singer Nancy Wilson, along with many others. He was also the musical director for the Arsenio Hall Show. On the other hand, Mike Clark created his own innovative style of drumming as a member of Herbie Hancock's Headhunters, and he also went on to become the leader of that band himself. Together, these veterans are a funny and wise duo full of jazz bravado. So get to know both of them and dig this interview, my friends.
Thank you for joining me today for a little conversation about your life and your world and music, and we're just going to hop right in if that's okay. Talk to me about you guys. Your latest album is Expedition 2, but give me an idea of what you guys do on a regular basis together. What kind of magic do you put on for the crowds?
Go ahead, Mike Clark. You start.
I was going to say we go to a lot of movies, but you were asking about what we do with the crowd.
No, that's good.
I've been in a lot of bands with great musicians, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying that to say this is the most honest group that I've been in, and I think that's what we do. Nobody's showing off, nobody's styling. I mean, no pretentious stuff. We're all really speaking, we're all really having a musical conversation, and we're serious about it. I mean, there's no BS. We're really playing, you know, and the drama is, like, let's say Mike's taking a solo, then I would be, of course, comping for him, but I'm listening to everything that his solo is, I mean, everything, and then I'm commenting on it underneath. So there's a conversation. I think the drama is how long can we keep the conversation running before somebody breaks concentration or goes on another thing, or if they do go down another path and the whole band is listening and we turn on a dime, so there's drama there. All kinds of stuff to listen to rather than three of us playing time while one guy takes a solo and does all of his stuff. I mean, I've been done with that pretty much since I got out of high school. That's what makes it fresh and modern. You know, it doesn't matter what the name of the tune is or when the tune was written or what style the tune is. It's about what we do. We could play Three Blind Mice. To me, what makes it interesting is the activities that go on during the piece. That's pretty much what's happening.
We're just trying to create music on the spot. Yeah, and we use these different songs and forms and formats as sort of guides, but really we're in the moment, and we are very much just listening to everybody in the band is listening to everybody and pushing everybody and trying. It's different. Every song's different every night. You know?
Right on.
Yeah.
So you guys started your careers off in the San Francisco Bay Area in the 70s. How did you guys hook up? Talk to me a little bit about the beginnings of you guys coming together as you know, playing your music together.
Well, I guess we met. I was a house pianist at a really great jazz club called the Both on Divisadero and Fell in San Francisco in like 1968, 1969, and I was a teenager. There was a great guy that played there, Bishop Norman Williams, was a sax player, and the bass player was Ray Drummond. And we had a guy named Augusta Lee Collins on drums. And we would play sessions there. And you would go, and it was a Sunday afternoon session, and, you know, whoever was in town would often come and play. Maybe Russ on Roland Kirk or Billy Higgins or whoever, you know, would come and play with us. Anyway, so I think Mike came to there. That's when we met. And, you know, we just really, you know, I just think we started more listening to each other than when Mike got the gig with Herbie Hancock in '74. I made sure to go over Keystone Berkeley, and, you know, every night when they were playing there and listen to that band. I was about 20 then, 21, something like that. So we just liked each other then. You know, we just appreciated that we're each into the same thing of trying to create something new. You know, coming out of the tradition of jazz and funk and all that, but create something new within it.
Right on. So talk to me about what kind of musical influences you both have had, more specifically from the world of jazz, influenced the way you play.
Oh, God. Well, see, I started playing. My father was a drummer, and I'm not going to bore everybody. I'll make it quick. So there was always a drum set, and there was no rock and roll yet, so he listened to boogie-woogie, jump music, Wynonie Harris, this type of thing, and jazz. And to him, jazz was Benny Goodman, Gene Krupa, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, which is jazz. But later on, through his record collection, so there was always, the music was always, that was his party, and having his friends over music, so it was always, my brain was absorbing this before I could walk or speak. They just put me by the record player in the bassinet and leave me there so that they could hang out. And anyway, so I eventually made my way over.
And we still do that with Mike often. We put him in the
That's the thing.
By the record player, so we can. Yeah.
We're hoping to make a lot of money off the Mike Clark bassinet drum throw. You know what I mean? Like, so,
yeah, it's awesome.
You know, like, which is a new. But and then I found one day my dad brought home an Art Blakey record. He didn't know who Art was, but he saw a guy playing drums and bought the record home. And that led me to Charlie Parker and everybody else. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Nice.
You know, and interestingly, this is Michael Wolff. Same with my dad. My dad was an amateur musician. He had perfect pitch, and he played all the, woodwinds. He could play clarinet and flute and all that. But we had a piano, and he taught me when I was about 4 years old, the St. Louis blues on the piano. And the same thing, he had a record collection, so I would sit down with him in this little room. We had a record player. Yeah, he would play Count Basie, Ray Charles, George Shearing, Oscar Peterson. That's the stuff he loved. And I said, play the blind guys, because I liked Ray Charles and George Shearing. But he would sit there with me, and we'd listen to Count Basie records, and he would tell me what was going on. And, he interestingly was an internist, a doctor when I was little. When I was about 9, we moved from Memphis to Berkeley, California, became a psychiatrist. And he told me being a psychiatrist was just like listening to Count Basie's band. He said, most people hear the saxophones and the trumpets. What really makes the band happening is the bass and the drums. It's like listen to people talk. You hear what they say. You got to hear what's underneath. So he taught me to kind of feel what's underneath the music, not just the notes and the harmony and all that. What's the feeling underneath what you're playing? And I think that's where Mike and I connect, is that whatever we do, we want to make sure it has a real strong feeling and mood, and I think that's, without all the creativity that we're doing, we never want to lose sight of that.
Combined, you guys have been around and played with a lot of people, the bands of Cannonball Adderley, Sonny Rollins, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter. The names go on and on and on. So what I want to know, for a couple seasoned musicians, what did you guys learn from the masters, from those that were veterans that had so much mileage on the odometer? What did you get from them?
Well, this is Michael Wolff. I thought they were lucky to have me when I was 20 years old. I was so cocky, and I was playing with Cal Jader and all those guys. Jiski left me. I thought, man, these old guys, they're lucky to have a young guy with an electric piano and a wah-wah pedal. But I eventually learned, basically, from Cannonball told me, look, I hired you because I love the way you play, so play the way you play all over the piano, and don't ever let anybody tell you how to play. So what I learned was confidence and to be creative and try to create my own thing and not be, too upholding to tradition, really. I mean, the tradition is what we come out of, but you got to be free to be yourself. And I got that from Sonny Rollins, too. So I think the great artists weren't trying to make a status quo. They weren't trying to do tributes to other people. I always say, man, why doesn't somebody do a tribute to me? Why am I going to do a tribute to them, So it's kind of a cocky attitude, but I think it's an attitude that pushes you to create your own music. So I always wanted to have my own approach, my own music, still, of course, loving and respecting the people that came before me. But it wasn't like now where everybody reveres all these people. It was different. It really was different. It was just, all those people were stepping stones for us to get to what we wanted to do.
You know, the one thing that's interesting about your trajectory is you played with folks that were kind of molded in the tradition of jazz. You've been around people that have done experimentation. You guys have kind of infused the funky roots into what you're doing. How has your sound evolved over time? What's been real key to you to evolve to the sound that you have right now as an evolutionary jazz machine?
Well, I would say this for my own self. It's for me to I play. It's like, this is going to be a strange answer. It's sort of like, for me,
tell them about the
it's like driving a stick shift. Like, you know, when you first go to drive a stick shift, if you were raised on an automatic transmission, you're going to have trouble doing things. But after you get the feel of it, you can do all kinds of crazy downshifting and doing all kinds of RPM stuff with it and really have some fun if you know what you're doing. Well, because I've been fortunate enough to be able to, Mike and I came from a time when you played 7 nights a week. And traveled and played all the time. I remember I used to think, now musicians don't speak like this anymore. Of course, I was quite young when I thought this way. Sort of like cutting school. Sometimes I try to figure out how can I get out of work so I can just watch Columbo on TV or go have a glass of wine with my girl. You know, like, that's how plentiful and abundant jazz work was at that time. So, because I got to log in 1 million hours of flight time on the bandstand, that's where the stick shift part comes in, I started to expound on a theme, the theme being my playing and how it related to others. And pretty soon, you can get pretty snazzy because you've done this stuff so much, you start adding on, and I try to challenge myself physically as far as drums goes, as well as challenge myself rhythmically. I challenge myself and others on the structure of the tune, and so I'm pushing the envelope without trying to go off the end of the cliff. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that's how my life has affected me as an artist. It's like I very seldom get up on the bandstand knowing what's going to happen, and without the spirit of experimenting and pushing the envelope. I always kind of walk up there with that in mind. So I'm not for everybody. If you want a guy that's going to do, I can step up there and act normal and play, you know, good boy drums and take care of business and make everything feel good and cross all the T's and dot all the I's. I've done that for years, but that's not my nature. That's not my nature. So if I'm true to myself, which at this point in my life, I've pretty much set my life up so I can be true to myself by who I play with and who I don't play with. I can actually afford to make those decisions at this point. I leave myself open for expansion.
Well, you know what? This is Michael Wolff. I play with 1 million drummers, and some of the greats, like I made a couple albums with Tony Williams, played with Elton Jones, with Jack Genus, many great musicians, and everyone that's a great musician, there's no way they could be anybody else. And Mike Clark is exactly like that. When you play with Mike Clark, I play with Mike Clark, I'm playing with Mike Clark. I'm not playing with a drummer who's going to, here's my tunes, now just play drums on my tunes. It's always, what is Mike Clark going to add to this music, or how is he going to create the rhythmic scaffolding for what we play? And it's always going to be his personality and his musical experience and his musical, just the way he looks at everything. And I think that's, to me, when you play with musicians, it's like casting, it's like casting a movie. You want people that are original and that are going to put their own thing on it. Well, everything Mike Clark does when I play with him is Mike Clark. It just never sounds like anything else. And, what I've done as a musician is, I look at it like this guy, Greg Boughton, who was a pitcher. And he said there's 3 types of baseball pitchers. There's one that learns all of the facts and studies every possible situation, so he knows when it's 2 balls and 1 strike and 2 balls, two outs, and there's certain batters up, and the wind's blowing at 4 miles an hour, whatever. He knows exactly what to throw. All right, that's one kind of pitcher. Then there's the other pitcher that just comes up and he just throws whatever he feels like. And then there's the third kind of pitcher who studies everything that first kind of pitcher did He sort of programs it into himself, and then he gets up there and just throws what he feels. And that's how I see myself as a musician. You know, I've tried to study as much as I can and learn all the harmony and practice and all that. When I play, I just want to be wild and free and impulsive, and I'm not trying to make anything hip or make it unhip or this or that. I just have to be in the moment, and whatever comes out, I enjoy observing it. And to me, that's why we can have those conversations, because we have all that, really all that music programmed inside of ourselves, so we can just be in the moment, and whatever comes out, it comes out.
I like that answer. I like that a lot. Let me ask you this. How do you guys feel about your career? You've had decades of experience. You've been all over the place. How do you guys feel about your careers up to this point?
I'm probably the most famous and rich drummer in the world. I'm independently wealthy. I'm more popular than the Beatles. Sorry. Let's see. My career, if that's what we call these, is a double-edged sword for me. On one side of it, I'm grateful for all of the great opportunities that I've had. And I'm the kind of guy that takes the responsibility on myself. I can't wait for another guy or hope somebody does this or they don't like the kind of shoes I wear, so I'm not going to be on this. I can't even, at this point in my life, I can't entertain any of that. So I figure in one way I've accomplished things and done things by willpower because the music business is mean and nasty. And I'm not bitter. It's just mean and nasty, whether I'm rich, poor, happy, or sad. You know, so it's not fair. There's many, many great musicians who have contributed made huge contributions to the music we love, and they're standing in line behind a guy 19 that's, you know, maybe played for, you know, he's just got out of junior college and he's pretty good. That part of the music business I detest. I mean, I'm not bummed out. It's not like I detest it where I'm up here in my apartment all humped over mad, you know, heat's on full blast, you know, windows closed. It's not that. It's just that I'm aware of what we're dealing with. You know what I mean? It's like you have to know what you're dealing with. To not know it would be my fault. That I've been able to get as far as I've done, if you want to call this getting far, is a miracle. So I'm grateful. On the other hand, I would like to see, my goal is, and keeping in mind that nobody owes me anything, my goal is for Wolff and Clark to become a main headline act on all the jazz festivals throughout the world. And why not? I see who's out there. I'm not even comparing us to them, but people in my band who came up through my band are out there doing that. So there should be no reason that me and Michael can't have the Wolff and Clark expedition on the center stage. And that's what we're going for. So it's a business mindset as well as music, because if you don't have a genius manager, then you're going to have to figure out how to if you want the people to hear you, you got to figure that next step out. And we're at the threshold of that next step right now, you know.
Yeah, I would say that's really true. I think both of us are really proud of our careers in the sense that we've gotten to play so much music with so many great musicians, and we've both been leaders of many different bands over the last 20 years and had a lot of success with that, and a lot of top 10 radio CDs, and a lot of big concerts. And but I think with Wolff and Clark, at least it feels that way for me, and I think Mike does too, is that we found our home to really, really create in the jazz world the height of jazz, you know, that we can create, you know. And that's all you can do, you know. You can just be who you are. And I think the power of the two of us more than doubles it. It's exponential, and what we're able to express in the band members that we have. And it's showing itself. We're doing SF Jazz in the spring. It looks like we're doing Monterey Jazz Festival. We're doing some more things like that. So rather go out and just play a million clubs, which are fine to do, I think we're really concentrating on the bigger concerts. And like we played San Jose Jazz Festival, doing these kind of festivals where there are a lot of people there. It's a beautiful environment, beautiful instruments and piano and halls and a lot of respect. I think that's what our goals are at this point. And I think for the career, it's also it's interesting that the higher level you're at, the easier it is because everything's set up better. The sound is better, the audiences are better, and so forth. So, I mean, that's I think on the business level, that's where we're at. And then there's another level, just music, where truthfully, if we play in a club and there are 30 or 40 people there, we're going to play just as great as we do when there's 2,500 people in a hall. So the music is a whole other thing that we create on the bandstand for ourselves, and that we hope that when we're taking these trips, the audience will come with us. But, the career is a whole other ball game.
And the thing is what we've done that I think is smart, if I just may chime in, we also do lawns. We do lawns. We edge, we shear, we can garden. That. Yeah, and we go on the road as gardeners in case the other thing flops. So, I mean, we do have this down. We've been doing this for a while. So anybody need your yard done, leaves, raked.
Bushes, topiary, Mike Clark is amazing with his shears.
Yeah. And Mike can edge driveways. Perfect.
Oh, I can edge. A brand new hair. We carry it. We don't even carry instruments anymore. We just carry the gardening tools.
The gardening equipment, and then that pays for the Jazz Jones that we've been carrying all these years. It works out good, really.
Sounds about right.
Be like.
Yes. There you go. There's your saying right there. I'll be sure to put that in the notes when I post the interview. For sure. You always got to have a side gig in jazz. I mean, it's no joke. I mean, I talk to a lot
something
of
to fall
guys.
Back on.
Yeah, a lot of people are teaching and whatnot. So let me get to the essence of you guys. This is my final question here to kind of get beneath the veneer of two very veteran jazz musicians that have seen a lot of action with a lot of people over the years. And I want to know this. Everyone has a version of who you are, your family, your friends, business associates, the people that you play live for. But when you guys wake up in the morning, you walk out into the world, who do you think you are?
My mother used to say that to me. Who the hell do you think you are?
Who do you think you are?
That's a good one.
That's a great question. Go ahead, Mike. I'm going to let you deal.
Well, for me, it's so many things. I'm a father. I'm a husband. A musician. Trying to be a golfer at all times. I mean, I think I'm a lot of different things. I feel like at my age, at my 60s, life is very rich, and very, very well-rounded. And I'm so about my sons who are both actors and musicians. And, it's just, I think I'm many different things. I don't feel like I get up in the morning like I did when I was 24 and it was just me. And all I could think about was I was going to go out at midnight and go to every club and sit in and do all that. That's not where I'm at right now at this point in my life. I'm in a much deeper place. It's deeper for me. I feel like I have everything that I've done to sort of fill me up in a lot of ways, and yet I'm still ambitious to create new art. So I feel like I bring everything possible that I've done and everything that I think and that I feel in a deep, deep way to my art. But in terms of how people see me, that's on them. I don't know how they see me. I know one thing is both Mike and I really love humor. We really love movies. We really love fun. At the same time, we feel totally committed to the deepness and the richness of our art. And so I don't think there's any conflict there. I feel like we're both that kind of person, where we don't have to take, you don't have to take yourself so seriously to be an artist, man. You can just go, you know what? My art, I'm serious about my art, but I don't take myself so seriously. The art comes through you. You're not just the art, when you're playing music or writing a piece, you can't take all the credit for it. If I'm writing a great composition and I got something going, I just try to stay out of the way and let the spirit come through me. And the same on a great concert. If it's going great, I just try not to mess it up. So I don't feel it's a big ego trip. Like, look what I did. It's more like, I prepared myself for this magic to happen. And that's how I feel about life. You prepare yourself, but you're kind of in the, whatever's making stuff happen, you're experiencing that coming through you. So I think it's a humbling thing. And at the same time, you can be confident of it.
Right.
How about you,
Yeah.
Mike Clark?
Well, let's see. When I wake up in the morning, I go right.
No, you
to
have
the
to have coffee.
pot.
That's your first thing.
I got to have my morning taste. Let's see. Okay, I'm a Buddhist.
You got to walk the
I don't
dog.
go
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The dog has to go out. There's no doubt about that.
And we're in New York,
So,
and it gets cold.
Oh, yeah.
And and there, there's no backyards. We're apartment
Yeah.
dwellers, so
And now
but,
we just got a new dog, so yeah, we got to walk her. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, dogs.
You
You know
just
what I have
get
to
a new
say?
dog. You did
I know
just
it
get a
sounds
new
crazy,
dog.
but dogs are really important to Mike and me. We both love our dogs. There's something to that, I think, dog people.
Yeah, I agree. I got 3. I know. I'm
No, you do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, make no bones about it.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm sorry. It was the leash I could do.
Sheer comedy.
We got to
I'm
collar
barking
that
up
guy.
the wrong tree.
We are punny.
I'm sorry. So I feel this way. I'm a Buddhist, and I have been since 1974. So I've developed. I'm constantly developing my inner world. Constantly. And that's what I do. That's what we all do, whether you're a Buddhist or not. Most, I think, in trying to perfect the musicians that try to make things perfect are trying to perfect their inner world. I suspect. I don't know that for sure. But I feel actually peaceful, happy. This is true. And I feel in tune with my environment. I feel aware. I feel positive about my future. I'm not angry, bitter, and all those things. Now, I've been all those different things. That's how those things help me to fight my way out of that kind of mind space. You know what I mean? Because nobody's in one groove all day. You change, your moods change, but
minute by minute. Yeah.
Minute by yeah. And I
it's
feel
true.
like
It's really true, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I try to choose the more positive worlds. I don't want to sink into the artist that feels he should have had this and he got cheated because of that, and all of this. I've been that guy, and that's why I refuse to be that guy at this point in my life. And since I worked on not being that guy, I've had quite a bit of success, and I think my success, such as it is, whatever, can't be compared to anybody else's. But for me, when I felt there was abundance, and when I felt on time and in tune, great things happen to me. I'm one of those guys that has really great things that you're like, wow, some guy just called me who doesn't even know me, and all of a sudden I'm going to do this with so-and-so, and that was, I've had that kind of career. I've also starved. It hasn't been like one great day to the other, so I've lived the whole thing, and I'm glad that I had the downtimes. Like, in other words, all of the obstacles in my life, including my health, which I've been struggling with for the last 3 years, has been beneficial to my soul. It's made me grow. It's made me tougher, stronger, more compassionate, more in tune with what others like. Instead of walking into a place thinking, I'm going to play great and get over, and what am I going to, those kind of feelings are kind of like, what are you going to take with you? Now I'm kind of feeling, how can I help? How can I serve? What can I do to make the scene better, the situation better wherever I go? Is there a way, or do I have to do anything? Whatever wisdom I need, either do nothing or add this or subtract that, whatever. It's not from a look at me, it's not me, it's us. Not just the band, the world. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So that's kind of what's happened to me over the years, Of course, now if somebody wants to send me a lot of money, I can leave my information with you before this is off the air.
They get. I'll leave my information too. I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, all three of us, since we've been good guys, we deserve money. Come on, let's get this money. I sort of.
No, I have to say one thing that's really great is when Mike and I do concerts, we say all the proceeds go to us. But, nice. That's the important thing. But one thing I want to make sure that we say, I don't think we really got to it, is for me, one of the most exciting things about working with Mike Clark is, Mike Clark is not just a drummer. When we put together each album, we get together and we come up with all the music, and each of us inspires the other. So Mike might say, I got this great new beat I want you to hear, and he'll play me this beat, and I'll say, oh, let me tape that beat, or let me see what I can come up with, and I start writing a tune based on his beat, or I'll say to him, hey, I wrote these melodies, I have an idea, what do you think we can do? It's very collaborative what we do, and I think that's it's great to have your own band and do everything by yourself, but to me, the Wolff and Clark is not just Michael Wolff. It is not just Mike Clark. It really is the combination, and it took us a couple albums to figure that out. Like the first album was kind of a regular album. Wolff and Clark Expedition was great and everything, but for the second album, I feel like we found ourselves because we really collaborated, and we had great musicians on it, Wallace Roney and Haley Notswanger and Christian McBride. And they collaborated with us, but Mike and I had spent it's the most I've ever rehearsed for anything in my life, was how much we rehearsed for that second album. And it was fun. I mean, it was like going to my buddy's house in 7th grade, and it was a blast. Mike would play something, and I'd be like, hey, wait a minute, play that again. And then he'd be like, oh, yeah, well, then I could play this, cling, and then he'd do that, and then I'd say, well, I got this thing. And Mike would be like, well, let's put a bridge there, but let's make the bridge in 7. I'd be like, okay. And it was fun. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Well, we did. You're totally right. Well, we did that. We have on our album, we have In Walked Bud. And Mike just came in and said, all right, we're going to do this in 7, and I want the bridge in 10. I went, huh? And, okay, let's do it. And then we just put that arrangement together, and it just was a great idea. And then in that Madimba, the same one, or whatever, that was Madiba, he came up with this beat. I would say, we were thinking of Mwandishi, that old album, and we were thinking about those beats. And, it's so exciting that what we both bring to it, like you were saying, we're veterans, but we're also trying to experiment with new things. So I've been working in the last few years of 5s and 7s and different rhythmic organizing rhythmic, eighth notes and quarter notes and stuff like that against what the regular beat is. It's pretty exciting to do that, and while maintaining whatever the groove is, because number one is protect the groove, So we always protect the groove. And when you have Mike Clark, he just say, all right, time for one of your funk beats. Or he'll say, oh, listen to this beat, like we did on The Monk's Dream. He came up with this amazing beat, and Christian McBride and I just we were in the studio. We didn't rehearse it. There was no chart. We just laid it down, and it was fantastic. So it really is people talking with each other, people communicating with each other. I mean, that's the fun of it for me. Otherwise, I have a solo album coming out, piano album. I love to do that. But what I really love to do is communicate with people, with musicians. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, it's a conversation for sure. I like the way this all wrapped up, John. Thank you for taking some time out for me today. I'm looking forward to getting this out to my audience.
Excellent. Thank you so much, man. And I enjoyed talking with both you guys a lot. It was inspiring to listen to Michael and your questions were great. And I feel like it woke something about this interview that's like playing. I'm serious. It woke me up, and now I can't wait to get these gigs. I got a few weekend gigs. I can't wait to get back to New York to get over to Mike's house and start this process all over again. Now I'm stoked. So thanks.
I love it.
Yeah, we're getting ready. We're getting ready to start our new album. And I have to say, I really enjoyed what I had to say.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York, Kansas City, LA, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Mr. Wolff and Mr. Clark for their time, their honesty, and their stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.